Hi, this is Tom, and in this video, we're going to continue Lesson 8 about the histogram and the box plot. And I've brought the same histogram back down, and it's nice and clean, but we're going to color it up here in a moment with all sorts of notes. So what I would like to do is to show you another approach other than creating the data set from the histogram. This time we're going to take a little different route. So here's what I'd like to do. We're going to start by noting the frequency of each column. So our first column has 7 units in it. The next one is 5. Just reading the frequencies off. I have 3, I have a 1, a 2, and a 1. So let's do this. Our total frequency, or cumulative frequency, I guess we could also say, our total frequency is 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. And let's add those up. 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 3 more, that's 15. 1 more is 16. 2 more is 18. 1 more is 19. So I have 19 data units in this histogram. So here's what we want to do. First off, where we know that our class boundaries indicate that we're going to have zeros in the first bin. So we know right off the bat we can write our minimum. We know our minimum is going to be 0, and using the same logic, our maximum has to occur in the last bin. That's going to be a bin of 5s, so we can write a max is 5. The question then, or the more challenging part, is how do we find our Q1, Q2, and Q3? Well, so we're going to use our histogram and think about this for a moment. So if I have 19 values, now if I was to divide this by 2, I would come up with 9.5. Well, we can't have a 9.5th value. So what that means is that the median is going to have 9 values above it and 9 values below it, and it's going to be that number right in the middle. So you'll have 9, so you're going to have a lower half will have 9. You'll have your median, that'll be the extra value, and then you're going to have 9 above it, and that adds up to 19. So the question then is, where does the 9, notice if we start counting from the bottom, this is going to be the 10th data value. So let's take a look. So if we follow over here, in my first column I have 7 data values. So I'm looking for the 10th. So obviously the 10th value does not lie in the first bin. Now if I go to the next bin, well, that has 5 more. So by the time I've looked at the first 2 bins here, I've looked at 12 data values. In other words, the 10th value is one of the data values in this column. And so we know now that the median, if we look in this column, it's just a column of 1s, so we know the median must be 1. And I'm going to write that down here. We have the median, or Q2. The median is a 1. Okay, now let's take a look back here at our little diagram here. And if I have 9 values, if I was to take 9 and divide that by 2, well, I'm going to get 4.5, meaning the median value is just above the 4th value, or just above the 4th coming down. In other words, it's going to be the 5th value. If I took 9, if I split it into equal groups, looking for the middle, well, I would have 4 in my lower group, 4 in my upper group. So in other words, Q1 is the 5th data value. Well, let's come back to our picture now. Let's use a different color since we're working on a different value. Notice that if I look at my histogram here, the 5th value right off the bat is somewhere in this first column, and we know that because the first 7 values are in there. I only needed the 5th value. So in other words, Q1 must be in the first column. And so we can write Q1 is a 0. And then now the same idea applies for Q3. Now let's think about this, because here's what happens for Q3. Well, let's use a different color for that. So for Q3, we know it's the 5th value, because it's going to be the middle value of the upper 9. So what we do this time is we start at the upper end of the data set. So if I look in the first bin, well, that's only one value. It's in here. If I look to the next one, well, I've only accounted for 3 values, but I need to get to the 5th value. If I move to the next bin, that's 3 plus one more. I've only accounted for 4 values, but I need the 5th, so I have to go to the next column. In other words, that Q3, or the median of the upper half, has to lie between 1.5 and 2.5. Since those are boundaries, it has to be at 2. And now we can write that Q3 is what did we say? Is a 2. And there we have it. And then you'd end up creating the same box plot that we created in the previous video. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching.